live worldwide. Feel the beat, feel the vibe. Amazing host leading the ride. Power to the people, we shine. Giving fans what they need. Caribbean spirit, let's succeed. Every show with a good deed. Together we plant the seed. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong. Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host we belong.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit Beacon.
Yeah. A little more volume on the mic, please, sir. Thank you so much. Welcome to Ride Along Live. It is Monday on the ride. Nice, beautiful Monday, the Isle of Spice, where everything is nice. Guys, and I miss you guys because I didn't see you guys on Wednesday. I didn't see you guys on Thursday. And I didn't see you guys on Friday. So it's been a while. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? How you been? Did you miss me? Reginald Amadi, how you doing? Thank you so much, my brother. Reginald Amadi always give me some updates on things that's happening, right? So big up yourself. Yulin Alexander, how are you? You good? Michael Welch, how are you? Guys, today we have a lot to talk about, eh? We have a whole lot to talk about. And because we were not on during the Intercol celebration last week, we had to talk about that too. But on top of the Intercol and all what happened, the highlights, the lowlights, the dim lights, the greats, the amazing, and the not so amazing. We have some updates on another topic that I think is very important that we understand. Now, last week we had Sadabrio, and he was on the program on the morning show with Kirk Sitahal, and he was speaking about the Creators Alliance. Now, for those of you who don't know who Creators Alliance is, Creators Alliance, whether you want to call it a Ponzi scheme, a scam, whatever. The truth and fact about it, guys, Creators Alliance came into the market. Was a lot of people was warned about this, eh? Dabrio is one that he been on this platform. He did it on his platform on the National Seaside platform, warning people to stay away from that business operation. He said it plainly. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a scam. But there was a lot of people here locally, not a lot, but a few people here, prominent individuals, pushing the Creators Alliance. Now, a few people said, how could it be a scam if, look, I made money from it? Few people got some returns, but that's minuscule to the amount of people that was scammed. I'm hearing in upwards of some $10,000, and thousands of dollars was put into this Creators Alliance. And when I look at it and I go into the operation of this thing, I say, you know, a lot of people who really got scammed from this, I was saying, like, I thought that they would know better, right? I was thinking, like, come on. But anyway, Creators Alliance made off with a lot of money. Yeah, made off. You know what the Madoff thing, right? Madoff was a Ponzi scheme as well. But to give us some update on this, because there have been some updates, some new developments on these Creators Alliance. Calistro Farrier is here with us, and she's been following the story. She did updates on the story. Calistro Farrier from the very popular show, The Narrative, WPG-10. She's here. So we're going to talk about that. And also, we are going to speak about Intercol last week, Jed. Let me tell you something. Very competitive. It's probably the best I've seen. Record-breaking Intercol games. New names that catapulted to the top of the sports track and field arena. It was just amazing. But besides all the amazing things that happened at the Intercol games, the 53rd Grenada GAPSS Athletic Games, there was a particular incident or series of incidents that everybody seemed to be talking about. And I hope that this, and I don't want this to overshadow the greatness of the games. So to talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between, we have Mr. Finley Jeffrey, the scholar. And I bet you didn't know that Finley Jeffrey is well rounded like that. The man he's like everything, all wrong, that kind of guy. And Calistro Farrier has some input on that as well, because she followed did an interview with the young man that was somehow but his name was in reference to the no comments, right? So Calistro Farrier got a chance to speak to the young man. So a lot to talk about, a lot to digest. So we ain't gonna waste no time because we have a dead stop in an hour. We have a 1 hour program. So first to talk to us on the Ponzi scheme that has been making its way around town. You know her, you love her. She is the media darling, seriously strong internet today, and looking great as always. Calistra, how you doing?
I am well. I'm well. Thank you for having me, Junior. Good to be on the ride.
Nice. Hey, you're on this ride, but you want to tell them the last time what happened when you was on the other ride?
I rode. I kind of rode, but I was definitely wearing my high heel shoes.
Yes.
I was kind of riding, but I was looking good.
Yes, you're looking good. Let me tell you, if nothing else, Calistra, you are the best looking one on the ride ever. Like, this is the picture that went around the world. Like, that's what the ride's supposed to look like. High heel shoes, strong black woman, and just powerful on the ride. Nice. All right, Calistra, let's go right into it. You've been following the story, and I want you to bring us up to speed on the Creators Alliance. The scam, the Ponzi scheme. What's your take? What's your understanding? Tell us a little bit more about that story.
Yeah, well, another scam, Junior. The thing is that I have been following that story since October last year. In fact, The Narrative had, I think, 2 shows where we had Jervis Dabrio on from CSIRT, Grenada's cyber response incident team. And we spoke about it twice before. The last time we spoke about it was March 18, about 2 weeks or so before it collapsed, predicting its collapse. And, so I think a lot of people who got caught were either greedy or missed the warnings. I know one particular person who came to me and said, I'm doing this, it's making money, join. And I said, no, I'm actually investigating this, and I'll be writing about it when it crashes in a little while from now, just waiting on that. And But I said, if you have money in there, you're making money, take it out, because there's going to come a point when you won't be able to access this, and it's all going to go belly up. Person did not listen to me. They got 6,000 out, but they still had like a 9,000 in. Luckily, they bought a small package, so their investment, they got return on their investment. It's just that the growth of the investment, they did not benefit from it, because on April 2nd, they were hoping to probably by now, mid-April, get that 9,000. It would have been more by now out. But April 2nd, Creators Alliance disappeared. The Telegram accounts that they were using to communicate with their members were shut down, and people could not access it. What has happened so far with things like this, and I'm sure that Jervis has talked a lot about the technical nuts and bolts of it, but recovering funds may be difficult, and definitely beyond the capacity of Grenada's law enforcement. We're going to have to look outside, reach out to Interpol and other agencies, law enforcement agencies internationally, if we even want to get a hold of, and the rest of the Caribbean for that matter, because they cleaned up from the Bahamas right down, huh?
Mm.
Yeah, it wasn't just Grenada, it was St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Dominica, the Bahamas, and St. Lucia really got a hard hit with this. The St. Lucians were, and I know one merchant who posted, who was heavily promoting this here in Grenada, said to in her promotion, said, I'm tired of the St. Lucians boasting about how well they're doing. When am I going to see my Grenadian brothers and sisters benefiting from this? It was one of the lines that she used to try to lure recruits in so that she could be paid, because that's how these things work. You ask me to join, and the money I pay is what pays you. A Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme. So what has happened recently is that the FIU, they were able to take one person into custody of the 1,500 members in Grenada between last year and April 2nd. And this woman that they managed to take into, there are other merchants here, mind you, who are here that the FIU can get if they are so minded, if they have the will to do it. But they got this woman. She is supposedly from Ghana. Her name is Lillian Osai Busson, and she's currently at Richmond Hill Prison. Her lawyer did not apply for bail because the FIU told the court that she was still under investigation. Now, they arrested her last Tuesday on money laundering charges. They got, it was not a lot of money, but I suspect that it is my belief that they went that route in order to keep her in the country, because she's a foreign national. Once she's gone, she's gone. The task of tracking her down and having her brought back, even if charges are brought, would be, a whole difficult situation. So she was taken at Morris Bishop on Tuesday morning and held for 2 or 3 days. She was charged on Thursday with money laundering and is currently on remand at Richmond Hill Prison. No bail was applied for and none granted, of course. So she goes back to court on April 28th. That's when the matter continues. And by then, the defense has no disclosure yet. They do not have the evidence that the prosecution has. That has not been given to them yet. So what exactly they're going to throw at her is still unclear for the defense, and also, the information I have been able to gather. But it's a big step in this, that they've been able to get a hold of someone, because you may remember SGL was a similar scandal, and
Yes.
it caught a lot. It caught a lot of people. I mean, it caught a veteran bank manager as well, got caught up in this. Because sometimes it's doing good in the beginning. It does good. People make money. It's the timing about getting out, understanding that at some point, the juice is going to dry up. And they'll move on, and there'll be no one. And back then for SGL, no one was held accountable. In the case of Creators Alliance, while the charges brought against Lillian Busson is not directly related at the moment to Creators Alliance, they are investigating her link to Creators Alliance. And so what we know about her, I'm not sure. I did a report recently What I have been able to gather in my investigation is that she dealt directly with some of the members here. So people know who she is. Some people here
Mm.
know who she is because she would meet them to give them the cash that in exchange for the earnings that they accumulated on the platform.
Right.
There's another female merchant here in Grenada, Grenadian, who I am told by members was also involved in facilitating the transactions as well. And hopefully the police will look into that also. So the thing about Creators Alliance, though, is that even I think by December, January, people in Barbados were already having problems getting the money out.
Money.
So
Yes.
yeah, Barbados started having problems early on. There were warnings from their equivalent of our CSERT here, I think it is, or FIU, or I can't remember which agency now. So there were signs that what was expected to happen with Creators Alliance would happen. Maybe the police will be able to find some sort of link so that Ms. Busson can be charged.
Right.
But he's one of about 5 or 6, at least half a dozen merchants who are operating in the space here in Grenada for Creators Alliance. But
I
I
have a
have
few,
not heard
I have a
that the
few,
police investigating anybody else.
I have a few questions, Calistro, because you said earlier that this particular Ponzi scheme went from far Bahamas all the way down St. Lucia. One question number one: what was this lady doing in Grenada? And if she is was wanted, how come no other authorities coming to before she got into Grenada actually picked her up?
Well, no, I don't. I have not come across any information that suggests that she was wanted in any other
Oh,
jurisdiction.
okay, all right.
Um, no, I didn't. She was here. She came to do an internship at a particular Actually, she was at the coding academy
Oh, I see.
for a while because FIU officers actually went there as her employers. They went to interrogate, to question them about her finances or her salaries, just to figure out how much money she was making out of her job, her day job at the Grenada Coding Academy as part of the investigation, because this is about money, to figure out source of funds, where is it coming from.
Right.
And so I also spoke to Grenada Coding Academy. They said that they do not know, outside of what she was contracted to do for them, they are unaware of any other involvement that she had with anything else in Grenada. They could only say that they know that she traveled a lot. She
Mm,
was in and out of Grenada. I think the last time she left a month ago and said she was going to some other country. They believed that she was not in the country. They did not realize that she was. They actually asked me. So they picked her up when she was coming back in, and that's not what happened. She was actually trying to leave the country at the time when she was arrested. So her employers, taking a hands-off approach, distancing themselves from whatever else she was involved in, besides working as she worked at one of the secondary schools teaching Python to students at one of the secondary schools. That's the regular thing she was doing. But she was also, I got someone from Barbados got in touch with me, and they said to me that she's been helping them to build a portfolio in cryptocurrency,
oh,
and that they were and that they got to know through a friend of a friend that she was also helping to build a portfolio in cryptocurrency. So she is, certainly involved in this. I have found sufficient traces that she's, in the industry of cryptocurrency, which is one of the it was the basis for Creators Alliance trading, well, not trading because they weren't really selling anything. Um,
right.
so whatever they were doing, that was what was involved. So, she remains at Richmond Hill Prison until April 28th. We'll see what the prosecution comes with based on the investigation that the FIU says they're continuing to do at the moment. They've asked for time to complete their investigation and see what defense her lawyer. She's actually represented by Arlie Gill. See what defense he comes with on this.
Right.
Mm.
Now, there is a local person I heard mentioned someone sort of high profile person or so or affiliated with a high profile person. Do you have any indication if the authorities might move in to question her?
Well, I have tried to ask that, but I've not been able to get a handle on this yet. But I believe they should, because the thing is that the Ghanaian woman was at this a similar or same level as four or five other people here in Grenada, including that high profile individual that we're talking about here. They were at the same level, merchants.
Hmm.
So they were, you arrest one merchant. What about the other merchants? You're not even going to question them. So this is the question that I have right now, and hopefully, once I get through to FIU, Ms. Colan John has been difficult to pin down in this last couple of days. I haven't been able to reach her to ask specifically whether or not there are other persons of interest that they are looking at here in Grenada in this investigation.
Yeah. And you said the word merchant, which leads me to believe that's not a big fish. I mean, in this trade, they are still bigger fishes. Like she could have probably got caught up just like how the others were caught up. She was not a main person in the whole orchestration. Maybe, maybe not. Do you think that probably they're not looking at the big fish and the big fish is getting away and they're catching all the smaller sprats?
Well, I mean, the big fish are for the moment, um, based on what I know about these things, out of reach really to Grenadian authorities right now.
Hmm.
What they have done is taken a merchant into custody,
Right.
and they are investigating her along the lines of her involvement with Creators Alliance. This we've been able to find out, this we've been able to confirm. But there are other people who are doing the exact same thing she's doing. So they also, whether or not they're hoping that Lillian can shed some light and draw them a map to the big fish that they can reach out to Interpol and other international law enforcement to try to get to the online infrastructure of Creators Alliance and to probably lock down their e-wallets or whatever you call it, and grab a hold of the funds that they have there. um, they may be able to provide information that is germane to the investigation, that is useful for the investigation to move on. So while one may say, well, they may not have a criminal responsibility, that they may not have been the intent to defraud anybody at the level of merchants, that they have been maybe have been caught up, because intent is something that the prosecution definitely has to prove
That's what I'm.
in a case like that, in a criminal case of that nature. There has to be some sort of intent, and of course, the burden of proof there is pretty high. It's in a criminal matter, unlike a civil case where the burden of proof is actually it's not as stringent. So maybe they can give information that will help move the investigation along,
Yes.
even if they do not may not hold any sort of criminal liability, criminal responsibility in this. You know.
Right. Right.
But
Callisto.
you know what is interesting though is that people really need to pay attention to this, and I'm sure that Jovis has said this. He's been on numerous programs, including St. Lucia News Online last night. Is that Creators Alliance may keep coming back, or other people may keep coming back. Like a few days ago, about a week and a half or so ago, Creators Alliance sent out a letter to their members saying that the British Development Agency or something like that was giving them an opportunity to reopen the platform if they paid £3,000. No, the UK government agency that they named has not existed for 5 years.
Oh.
It's been merged and it's a whole totally other different thing. It's no longer an organization on its own to be. And secondly, it's an organization that deals with UK international development. It has nothing to do with anything about taxation or whatever. So then, even that is such a thin thing that you can see through, but they were still able to get people to send them money. And I'm talking about after April 2nd,
After all
when
that,
people
yeah,
after April 2nd, yeah.
that is just crazy.
people sent them money because they were promised that if we pay this money, the platform can be reopened. So they were saying that they had to pay £3,000, but no, I don't know how much Joan is giving, and Joan doesn't know how much Jill is giving. But so everybody's dropping in a little $100 or whatever. Before you know them, in Grenada alone, there are 1,500 members. Even if 25% of that pitches in, and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and Dominica and Bahamas pitching. So they came in for a second bite of the apple, and 24 hours later, they shut down the Telegram platform that they had opened to do this. I think Jervis Dabrio calls it a recovery scam.
Yeah.
24 hours later, they were locked out again after paying more money to this. And then what I noticed on my page under the post, where I post the stories, is that people coming on to offer to help you get recover your funds. People have to be careful with that, because there are services to recover your funds and you pay, but it is not, you have to be very careful. I saw two come under my page, under my post, and I sent one of them to Jervis Dabrio for him to look at it, and he sent back to say it looked suspicious. It looked like this was a scam again. So this is people trying to scam the people who had been scammed with the promise of helping them recover their money. So it's all about people being smart and aware, and if it sounds too good to be true, it might be. And there's a lady who lost $10,000 out of her Ariza account. In 5 or 6 days, they took it all out because she said she saw the Prime Minister and I in an interview talking about some wonderful investment opportunity. So
That
she
was,
believed it.
that was a AI generated scam too.
Yes, it was. And if you just listen to just the tone of the thing, you will say, no, that's not Callisto,
Yes.
that's not Speaker Patel. But people, she said to me, well, I saw you and I saw the Prime Minister. So I did everything I could to try to help her. And I'm not sure what the result of it was, because I hadn't heard from her again. But in terms of the steps that she needed to take, because if you move quickly, depending on the type of scam, if you move quickly enough and you get in touch with FIU and you inform your financial institution, and so there's still a chance that some sort of redress can take place. So she was able to move quickly. We called FIU, put her in touch with them. She made the report, informed her institution of what was going on, and so on. Hopefully, she may have gotten something back. I don't know. She'll probably follow up on that. But there are all kinds of scams out there. It's not just some guy climbing through your window anymore. Burglar
Yeah.
bars are not the protection anymore. Yeah.
Be careful, people. Callistra, that was an amazing investigative report. I thank you so much because I've been following you. You took the lead on this report, and I appreciate that. I think the whole world appreciated you giving all that information and keeping people abreast. And I could guarantee you, I bet if they came back tomorrow and they said put another $5,000, at least 2% of the people might just jump in again.
Might just jump in and do it.
Crazy. Crazy, guys. Of course, Callisto Faria. Again, the Bob. I said the Bob report.
The narrative. You about to get ghosted by me here. I'm about to ghost the ride.
I wanted to say that I saw you on the Bob report. I saw the Bob report on you, but I never see right along on the narrative. I don't know, Callisto. I don't know. I just never see right along on the narrative. That's all I'm saying. All right. All right, guys.
Yeah, we'll fix that.
We'll fix that. Okay, we'll fix that. Okay, let's go into a segment 2 of our story, right? And joining us here to talk about this this story is Callisto Faria and of course Mr. Findlay Jeffrey, the scholar. Scholar, how are you doing? Scholar, you there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. You hear me? Yeah.
I'm hearing you just fine.
I'm watching and listening to you on Callisto. She breaks it down and she look as a Spice Mass him come and look for you on Callisto. I say you one of them queen contestants,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought you was gonna
I find Spice Mass making a big mistake.
I look like that first year I started loving you a long time ago and never stopped loving you.
Yeah, well, Doc.
No, the first time I encountered Scholar, I think it was by Alma Forsyth's property on that middle street there in Victoria where we do
Yes.
the St. Mark's, the Diamond Street on Diamond Street. You performed. I think it might have been a carnival, so there was some sort of road thing, and you performed. And I fell in love and with the music, Mrs. Jeffrey, and it's been a long love affair. He makes me cry and laugh every year. Yeah.
Ah, that's a good way to start this. So, Scholar, before we go in to talk with Intercol, I know that you have been following it. Well, I don't know how much involvement you have been following it, but I know you were a PS in that industry in the that manage the National Sea Cert. Any other information you wanted to add to the story?
No, well, I think Kalisha encapsulated well. And in fact, she has been following it for maybe right up to the end, because I became detached from it when I was moved from ICT,
Right.
which was since the start of the year. So I kind of became detached from it. But in the initial stages, Jovis did reach out to me because I was his PS. Sometimes as he has to get permission to go on platforms and so on to speak about it, and to decide what to do next and so on as it relates to informing the people. So I was sort of kept abreast, sort of informed, told him, gave him permission to do TV series and so on to enlighten the population. But then I became detached from it. So much of what Kalisha is saying now as of January, those are new things to me.
Okay. All right. Good. All right, guys. So let's move into second gear. All right. Let's move into second gear. The recently held Intercol Games. Listen, I think that the Intercol Games this year, it was by far, I don't know what about it, it was by far one of the best Intercol Games in terms of the production, in terms of the athletes, the readiness, both male and female. All the schools came out with the A game, the match passed, every segment of it, I thought it was amazing. But I found that it was kind of overshadowed a bit, right? I found that it was kind of overshadowed a bit by two incidents, right? One of which I want to share with everyone here, because everyone seemed to have an opinion on this. Let me see if I could pull this up real quick so the audience could take a look as well. This is one of the incidents that everyone is talking about. Listen to this.
Afternoon once again. We just had the completion of the boys junior javelin throw, and as expected, the winner is Delron John out of SAS, throwing 50.93 meters. Congratulations to him, and we have him right here. Delron, congratulations on this gold medal. Tell me what your preparation was like for today's Carifta javelin throw. How did you prepare for Intercol?
No comment.
No comment, so there was no preparation?
None at all.
So you just came here today and
Stop
did
the
your
interview.
best?
Come on, let's go. Let's come back up. Forget this.
Alrighty, well, congratulations to you and good luck. I know you're for Carifta as well, so good luck at the Carifta. In a short while, I would have the two athletes from Hillsborough Sec after this heat. Back up to you, Jason.
Yeah, that was some disappointing stuff there from Delron John. I expected better, quite frankly. The boys, 400 meter. We've got to teach these athletes that when you're at this level, this is the big leagues. You can't come to an interview and somebody asks you for a comment and the only thing you can say with attitude is no comment. Let's not speak to him for the rest of the bloody games.
Okay, so that I found overshadowed the whole Intercol Games, because after the game, that's all everybody was talking about. Scholar, your take on what occurred there?
Well, let me first of all agree with you that this was probably one of the best Intercol Games that I can remember in terms of its organization, in terms of the hype, the preparation. There were a number of tweaks and so on this year, I think, that added to it. There was this relay torch run that really lit up social media. had social media in a frenzy, got people from the community and so on involved. Tivoli drummers beating drum. It was just pure fun and excitement, and I believe that it set the whole scene and the stage for this Intercol. I think also the fact that this year the bosses of Intercol moved the sponsorship from the corporate entity and had government more involved, so that at the in the final analysis, I think people understood, because it's the first time I'm sure that you have heard about gaps, but gaps has been holding Intercol forever. But
Yes.
nobody knows gaps, because there has always been a corporate entity before the Intercol, so it sort of felt as though the Intercol was theirs.
Right.
For the first time, people understood that it was not. And with that, I can tell you, because I understand, I was in GUT, we held games and so on, we have sponsors. The sponsorship, there are some stringent measures that you have to adhere to when you see you have this sponsorship. There are things that you can't do, things that you could do, and so on. I can bet you, for example, that torch run that they had, that torch relay run, it wouldn't have been the same if a corporate entity was involved, because you have to double check everything, make sure that everything is dotted. You have to walk on eggshells and so on. But you felt that the organizers, the so on, they were free. There was freedom to experiment. There was freedom to take this thing to a different level. And I believe that is what they did. And sadly, because unlike you, I don't think that it overshadowed those two little events, because there is the other one with the chewing of the bottles.
Yes.
That I believe you would want to speak on. And I don't think that they overshadowed it at all. I believe, as a matter of fact, that people like Callisto Ferrer and for the fraternity of reporters and broadcasters and so on, they came out and they condemned and criticized it. And that to me was a big statement. I know media persons who asked the gentleman to apologize. And the fact that Callisto was able to do a deep dive, because some people were sort of uncertain. Some people might have been leaning to the fact that probably, as Jason was saying, the young man had attitude and so on and so forth. But when you heard his explanation, there was it left absolutely no doubt. And I cannot understand, for the love of me, why to this date, Jason has not seen it fit to apologize. Big man is big man. And I believe that he made a mistake. And this thing is so deep because it went into the realms of bullying and so on. This was a young kid who's afraid to speak. Afraid to speak because he believes and he fears that if he speaks, that people would tear him apart on the live, as how we usually do. And this is a kid. And that's why he's afraid to speak. I know the young man. I know the young man personally. He's a bright young fella, right? Very intelligent. And he can speak. Giving an interview is nothing to this young man. Very outspoken and so on. And the fact that he refused to speak tells you, there's also another issue that emanates from that I want to also highlight, and that is the interview of athletes after they have participated. This probably is a wake-up call, and maybe this is something that has to be addressed by media personnel as to how we grab these young people. Some of them tired, they're blowing in the ears, they're blowing in the eye, they're blowing all about, and then you have them interview. You could never get a good interview like that. So there has to be some holding space where you keep them so that they can cool out. Big people like me and you sometimes, impromptu, on the spot, asking questions. It's difficult. It is difficult. Far less for me. So prepping might just be fine. Tell them, listen, in the next 2-3 minutes, I'm going to ask you this, I'm going to ask you, let them prepare. to answer. Something, has to be done so that we could prepare them so that what they say and so on, they will be better prepared and it will come across much, much better. But it's an unfortunate event. And I believe that Jason should be a big man, even up to now, and apologize.
Kalisha, what's your take on what happened, the whole incident?
First of all, let me say I had not been. I'm ashamed to say I had not been to an intercall in a really, really long, 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 long time. At the early days of reporting, but it was. I went on day 3, and it was. I had fun, and I'm sorry I did not go on day 1 and day 2. Delron John. Oh, by the way, congratulations to the PBC boys for winning the match pass, and of course the school for making the podium in 3rd place. Archer, my son, was part of the match pass. That eyes right was something. That was something to write home about. Yes, the boys look sharp. So yeah, I went down on that morning. I went down and I went to the athletes village, and SAS had not arrived yet. In fact, I have a nice little video of them walking in, all these tall, strapped athletes. I mean, striking video, which I haven't used yet though. But the bus hadn't come down yet. They told me tent was empty, but I stood there and I waited because I was not leaving the athletes village until I saw that young man and spoke to him. As journalists, we don't just report and we go after the sensational. Sometimes we have to right wrongs. And I heard the clip. I actually did not hear the exchange between Blossom Alexis, who is a marvelous sports reporter, and the young man. But I heard the commentator, I heard the broadcaster. And as far as broadcast standards go, and at a youth event, that was not the best moment for us as a fraternity. So I waited and he showed up. Someone said, yeah, there he is. And I went to him and I said, can I give you a hug? And he says, yes. And I give him a tight hug. I took off my journalist hat for a moment and Zizi and Archer's mom gave him a hug. And then I said, can I just talk to you about what happened? Can I talk to you on camera? And he said, okay, sure. And that's the interview you saw. Very short piece. He was pleasant. No reluctance whatsoever, no rudeness, as we say. And I felt like, this child had been, we were raising a mob against a child because he was not as adept at handling himself in a situation where he was fearful. He said to me, Kyle, I still don't know who Kyle is. I need to find out who Kyle is. He said to me, Kyle did an interview the day before and they roasted him alive on the live. He was not going to take the chance of saying anything that would put him in this situation where all of these people are aiming knives at his head. So he didn't want to talk. I found his explanation to be quite plausible, quite honest. And I suspected that it might have been something as innocent as that. So I was not surprised at his response to me. But I think, one of the things that we have to do as broadcasters and is to always keep our composure. That is important. We must always keep our composure. When the camera is on, when the microphone is on, we have to keep our composure. You cannot lose it like that on an international broadcast, really. Canada's biggest athletics day. And you're behaving like that. That was unbecoming and especially aimed at a child. He's in the juniors, which means he's like, what, 14 or 15 years old, with that much? To go after him like that. And I feel like it is possible that the commentator, lost it. We all sometimes make a mistake or two in doing this. And I'm sure he's well aware that keeping our composure in front of them on the microphone and in front of the camera is very important. And he may have lost himself for a minute, but I think that the reaction was way stronger than warranted. Even if Delron was a bit rude, as we might say, even if the response was way overboard, it was too much. too much,
We got a
definitely too
clip.
much.
We got a clip
And
of this response here, and that was Callistra Faria's interview with Delron.
No comment to the media. Can you tell me why it is you weren't willing to speak at the time?
Because I didn't really have nothing to say. Because the other day, when Kyle do an interview and he make a mistake, they penalize him for that, and I just didn't want to make the same mistake.
When you say they penalize him, explain.
In the comment section, they started laughing and they didn't want you to see.
Okay, so you were like, you didn't want to be treated that way.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you hear the comments? Have you been seeing online the comments from the that were being made because of the what the commentator said, or you felt about what he said?
I understand. I just said no comment. I didn't know I had to be here so far.
Alright. So in future, maybe the media come to you, you might be willing to talk, or you'd still be shy that you'll be bullied online.
Come on, I'll talk next time, man.
Alright.
Interesting. So that's the young man here from the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School. And I was told, because I was trying to understand the chronology of events here, and it probably makes no sense whether it happened this way or that way. But what I was told was that probably antagonized the individual, Jason, during the broadcast, was that they had the athlete on hold for a good 5 to 6 minutes before they came back to him. So he was standing there with Blossom, waiting on the race to complete, and then they came back to him. So they saying probably Jason got a bit frustrated because why would you have them wait for 6 minutes to say no comments? He probably could have said that to Blossom before they went on air. Does that excuse? And I know it doesn't excuse anything, but
Junior, even adults sometimes, when someone who we believe may be superior, well, I don't have that problem, but people who we feel might be in a position of power over us or in a superior position, sometimes we find it difficult to tell them no, and yet you stand up there, and you're wondering, should I do this? Should I say no? Whatever. But your heart is telling you, this is not what I want to do. And so when it comes to crunch time and decision time, you make the survival decision. And this was a survival decision for this child. He did not want to be attacked, viciously attacked online. I know what it's like to be attacked online by a bunch of people who have no business owning a smartphone in the first place, right? And who probably had data on the phone that somebody gave them. Is not even proper internet in the house. So they may have asked him to come on, and in the moment, and these adults are bringing him for the interview and so on and so forth, but he doesn't want to do it because Kyle got totally a proper cut skin but on the live yesterday, so he doesn't want to do it. But in that moment, he makes a survival decision to say no comment. But let me add this: as a journalist, I would prefer not to get a no comment. I would prefer for you to talk and say all kinds of interesting and exciting things that I can quote and I can report in broadcast. But you're entitled to say no comment. You're even entitled to say don't go there. And as a journalist, you tell me no comment. That is what will be reflected in my broadcast or my article or whatever I am doing. That Finley Jeffrey said he had no comment on the independence, the change of the rules for the independence competition. By the way, you didn't tell me about that when it was happening. You should have.
He didn't tell me either. He had no comment.
He didn't tell me. And when I saw this afterwards, I said, look, I missed an interview with my king again.
No, don't try that. I stopped everything about Calypso because last year, after Carnival, I tell you thing and you didn't bother with me.
We had a talk. I don't know. You sure with me? I thought you have other people to talk to.
Yourself. What, Junior, let me just say this. Let me just say this quickly because I think we beat this house. So let's say for instance, what you're saying is true. Let's say for argument's sake, I'm being devil's advocate here.
Right. It's not that what I believe. That I'm being devil's advocate because that's what was
right. So I'm being even more devil's advocate. And let's say, for instance, right, the guy was frustrated because yada, 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 he had to wait and so on and so forth. And he felt that they'll run, yada, yada, and so he got frustrated, he lashed out. Okay, fine. As Kalisha said, broadcasters are humans too.
Right.
But you've heard the explanation. This is after the fact. This is after your cool down. This is after your blood do hot again. You've heard the explanation and you refuse to apologize. Come on, man. So it tells you that there is a level of arrogance here. He maybe still believes that what he did was the right thing. So according to some of your contributors, no excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, we open up the phone lines because we want to get your input on this. So we open up the phone lines right now. You could call on WhatsApp or you could call on the straight line. The number that you call right there on the screen, 718-701-5720. We could touch on any one of the topics which we spoke on previously. If you were, in fact, a part of the Creators Alliance and you got scammed, you could call in as well. Or we could talk about this current situation here with the young man at the Intercol game. So we could spread open the conversation wide open, right? So 718-701-5720 is the number that you could call to input on this. Scholar, while we wait for this call, right? You said that you don't think that it overshadows. And I think that a lot of people, that's what they're talking about. But I really wanted the conversation to be, this young man, Mr. Stephen, broke Kirani James' record.
Well, precisely, and for sporting enthusiasts like me, that's what I remember. Those are the things, not this thing. What I remember is that we are getting there and we are improving. For example, in huddles, we saw quite a few of the huddle records going down. So that was great. And then of course you have Kashi Stevens. To me, he was the toast of Intercol. He lost the 100 incidentally. And I would tell you that 99 times out of 100, he would have won. He got caught on the blocks and there was just no way back. When he panicked. That's what he did. So he really came out to me in the longer distances for revenge, and he missed the 400 record by a very tiny margin as well. So really and truly, this young man really, that's what I remember. And I remember Kalisha says she don't even know who's Kyle Ned. I remember Kyle Ned. Kyle Ned was every single where on Intercol Day. I mean, everywhere you turn, Kyle Ned was taking part in something. I remember Christina Williams. She also was taking part in something everywhere you turn. So those are the things. Peaches Pancho. I mean, those are the things that you remember. And I would remember as a sporting enthusiast, and not those things like that. And the one with the battle throwing.
Yeah, with the battle throwing. That was unfortunate as well.
Which also was unfortunate. Also, I have my own opinions on, which kind of differs from other people's opinion as well.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me just take this call right on the phone and then we'll come back to you, Callisto. Sorry. Caller live, where are you calling us from? Yeah. Oh, Brooklyn. Yeah, go right ahead, Brooklyn.
Yeah, you know something?
Yeah.
Remember now, this Intercol and them that passing right now, the world is watching.
Yes.
You understand? The world is watching. That Intercol was so hyped that Grenadians in the diaspora rushed to get home, to get online to watch this Intercol. That's how high that Intercol that passed was. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But what I say to you, Junior, some people that call themselves journalists is not journalists. Because people are listening. People don't understand. People are listening to the commentators. They're listening to the journalists, and then they're listening all this thing. It's online. You can't hide, You know what I'm saying? If it is a doctor, you're speaking doctor language. And if it's a journalist, you have to learn to speak properly. You understand what I'm saying? I don't get a problem with you say you're a journalist and you're just talking all kind of crazy thing. Well, I see the guy, they go there, and I see the guy when he come back there, and you're not a journalist. Journalists don't speak like that.
Okay.
You went to school. You have a speech. You have to go to speech class. Like I remember during in the 70s, I think every radio announcer was properly spoken on the radio. People expect that from you. Prepare your story. And the same thing we was watching when we watching the intercall. As soon as the guys are finished on the race, they interviewing them. They don't have time to breathe. You understand? These things and them, somebody have to know something around within 2025. Hello.
Yeah.
Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much for your input on that. Callistra, you were saying?
Well, you know what the caller just said about the pulling them off the for interviews right away. You know, I made a post saying maybe we shouldn't do that. You know, let them rest, take a sip of water, and make it part of the production, because this is an international event now. You know, everything should, the television production should be scripted, including athlete interviews. But the explanation that was given by Blossom Alexis Welsh under that post that I made was that it's so hectic. Athletes are all over the place that it's, if you either get them there where they're obviously unprepared for interviews, unless these are people who are accustomed to that, or have been coached, which we're not really doing at our secondary school level with athletes. But I still believe that you have to make this part of it. So you discuss with the organizers and you make it part of the thing, so that a time is made available to interview and to speak with the high performers in it, because you're not interviewing every athlete. You're interviewing those who either are first, second, third, whatever, broke a record, and so on, those who performed well. So you need to script the thing, and the production, it can't just be like fly by night, let's pull this guy because he just won a gold medal and talk to him. It should be it should be different. I outlined the thing, but I don't know whether or not they'll change it. They need to. You can't have someone holding their side and trying to interview them and asking them questions like, what was your preparation like for the games? Maybe like, how do you feel to have thrown 593? And the guy would say, oh, I feel good about it. And that is sufficient. The 2 seconds and he moves on. But when you ask about preparation, that requires a detailed response. And I don't know if some people want to talk about the secret sauce, which is what, when you ask about preparation, somebody might talk about the secret sauce. So that's another thing on the Delron matter. But what I was trying to jump in there to talk about, though, was the bottle throwing. Very, very disappointing. Of course, things like that did not overshadow the magnificent performance of our athletes. All right, the talent and the future for athletics in the country. The children were looking good. Of course, I'm Westmoreland, so there was not much to get behind. So I got behind PBC March Past because Archer was marching. But it was magnificent. Everything was. But the bottle throwing, what I think, okay, Ethan Sam, wonderful young man, lots of talent. He's going to fly that flag. And I love my flag flyers. But I think that laying that wreath down, returning it was in that moment, it was too soon. But you see, children do things like that. Yep, child adults as well who would do something like that. But I thought for me that it was too soon. The rivalry was so intense leading up that when one of the faces of your defeat, because Ethan Sam, I suppose, would have contributed a lot of points on the board to this loss that SAS endured. And there you go, returning it in that moment there in the stadium. I think that the people who did it were totally out of order, of course. But I understand how you can get out of control in a situation like that, where the wound is raw. It was just too soon, or maybe too close to pour that salt in the wound. And pouring salt in the wound, I suppose, is part of the rivalry. In fact, I enjoy the rivalry on social media. I love seeing all the posts. But I think that was too soon, and people need to acknowledge, that condemn the people who threw those bottles and totally, absolutely, but acknowledge that it might have been a mistake right in that moment there. That's my 2 pence on it. I'm sure I'm going to get attacked soundly for it. But what's new?
Well, you're big enough for that. Scholar, what's your take on it?
Well, my take is very, very similar to Kalesha. In fact, I wrote about it on Facebook. So I have absolutely no fear of repercussions or anything. In fact, I get a dose of it already on Facebook. But it's okay.
You immunize.
I'm immunized, and I believe that what I'm saying is true, right? And it even goes deeper than what Kalesha said. Now, I condemn in the strongest possible way the people through the battles. I don't believe that was in protest, really. However, I think that incident gave us some teaching moments, and we need to teach the right things, right? So in sports, there is a rule in most sports that you do not taunt, especially the opposing supporters. You don't ever do that if you are an athlete. Supporters could taunt supporters, even supporters could taunt athletes, but not the other way around. That's an unwritten rule. As a matter of fucking football, no footballer would dare score a goal, celebrate, and go and taunt the opposing supporters. You get banned for this. You get yellow cards, you get red cards. So this is something that is a rule. But I want to even go further than Ethan, because Ethan is not the one who did this. Now let me tell you.
Oh, he's not. Oh, my apologies. I thought that was.
No. He did it, but he is not the one who orchestrated it. He was just delivering. All right, but there were no wreaths selling at the stadium. Somebody took that wreath and come with it. Okay.
Oh no, they did because I photographed before this, because I left before the incident, but before I left, I photographed an adult holding it. I have the photograph.
Right.
They were in the GBSS regalia. Yeah.
There it is. And so that's the first thing. There's no wreath selling in the stadium. So this was a planned and orchestrated thing. And adults, those are the ones who gave the wreath to the young man and showed him where to go and showed him where to place it. All right. There was one gentleman with a green GBSS jersey and the next one with a white and black. Those were the ones handing the young man, and it was not Ethan alone. They handed, I think, Kashi as well, but Kashi didn't go with it, right? Handing them the wreath and showing them where to go. Now, this is in protest. You do not taunt opposing supporters because things can get out of hand. It's totally against the spirit of everything, but it raises some questions. One, who were these people? Who was that gentleman with the green clothes? Who was the gentleman with the white clothes? Were they officials? What were they doing there? How did they get to go onto the track and the finishing line? When there are logistics people who are there to prevent these things. So how did these people get there? To hand this young man and put the young man in harm's way, because in the heat of the thing, they hand the young man, he go and he put it down and so on, not understanding and so on. They put him in harm's way, all right? Because bad things can happen if you, let me tell you something, Junior. You see crowd doesn't think that is a problem.
In the moment.
The mob mentality.
Let me use a Good Friday analogy. You know, if Pontius Pilate had spoken to all the people individually in the airs and asked them what to do with Jesus, you know, the chances are great that they would have said, well, set Jesus free. But the minute that he threw it out to the mob, all it just took is one or two little jackass in the mob to jump up and say, but he set Barabbas free, and the rest, they don't even know what they're saying it for. And that is it, you know, Jesus there on cross. So the mob is something, and this is why in sports, they tell you that you do not taunt supporters, because you never know what would happen in that case. And it's unfortunate. These were big people who did this. I saw SARS came out. They made an apology and a statement. They made a disclaimer saying that they totally opposed to the battle throwing and what have you. And I believe, because if indeed these people who did that were not representing GBSS principal staff should have also come out and say categorically that we know nothing about this, all right, and condemn it, because that needs to be condemned. But when you take a narrow view of the thing, oh, people fell stone, people fell bottle, and so on, and they shouldn't do it and Sam and so on. What Kalisha saying there is true. You do not, for heaven's sake, in sports, and I think this is a learning experience, and I hope that such things do not raise its head again at Intercol games, or as a matter of fact in any sport in Grenada. Do not turn
so we don't just have to teach our little Delron John and the others how to interact with the media, but we also need to teach the sportsmen what is sportsmanlike, and how to be great, how to be gracious in victory.
Right. Yeah. We have a call on the line. Let's take this call on the line right now. Call it live. Where are you calling us from?
Toronto.
Toronto, go right ahead. And turn your background a bit, and we're hearing the feedback.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes. No problem.
I looked at this whole thing for the 3 days, and there were quite a few things that I think the coaches and the athletes and so on need to express to children, or to learn. And I'm speaking from a coaching point of view for over 30 years here in Toronto, where I've put out Olympians and everything. My son, 3 times national champion in Canada, 1 time US champion in college. And I'm saying this, I looked at many things that is being done in that track and field. Okay, first of all, with the journalists, I think he was really out of place. And if you really look back from last year, I noticed that with him. So he has a level of, confidence. He feels as his, even to the other the journalists that they say something, he has like his pedestalic. He always tries to correct. I noticed that from last year. I've been saying that. To be very honest, I said I don't like that man. But this year here, with that young guy, I'm speaking from a coaching point of view. A coach representing Athletics Canada coach, right? I'm from Grenada, obviously. And now, with this young man, when he was asked that question by the journalist, if you noticed, he took a few seconds, before he thought of what he wanted to say. But after looking at Callistra's thing, knowing now that he witnessed something or knew of something that might create something if he answers, he thought for a while, and then he said no comment. There was nothing good thing about that, because in the media, many times people say no comment.
Yes.
Now, the comment of the journalist about nobody should ask him otherwise, in my own words, give him any bloody interview after that, that was uncalled for. And it also would show something with us Grenadians as journalists. We have good journalists. I look at this really all the time, right? And I say, but that guy attitude, he spoke about the young man having an attitude. That guy has an attitude. Let's face it. If you look back from last year. Now, the other thing I wanted to, as a coach, because sometimes I wish I could come down and go to SAS and help SAS out and all these different things. Even this week, I said, I'll try to see if I could find out how I could come down there or bring them some programs and all this thing, because in the past years, I used to spend on medals and so on to the SAS. But I'm saying this to say that there are some things in track and field that people have to realize about athletes. Sometimes when an athlete's just finished competing and he or she knows that there is another event, sometimes that's where the head is.
Right.
And so, but I don't think the young man did anything that wrong. He's a kid.
Right.
And if they came out to call him whatever name you call him, this was wrong.
Right.
No,
we really have to.
Just say this.
Yeah.
There is something what we consider cockiness in track and field. And if you look at sometimes when athletes are finished and they bring their shoulder and the thing in front of an athlete, now here I know sometimes they could even be stripped of the position because, as the Calypsonian was saying, those things are not allowed.
Right.
In track and field, because you cannot do these things in front of your athletes to do all of these things. Yes, you would raise your hand when you finish and so on, but to show off or think on another person,
right,
this is a total no-no with Athletics Canada, because I have been called.
Right.
Athletics Canada to speak to some of my athletes when they do things like that.
Right.
You could be stripped. So these things have to be learned. And the last thing I'm going to say, they have to go with the AOC rules, because they're making some of the athletes do too many events, and now they have to go to this thing in Trinidad.
Right.
Too many events, and the muscles is beginning to reverse right now, and the memory is beginning to fade.
Okay.
And sometimes you say, well, they did so well in Intercol, how come they didn't do that? Because now it's time for the muscles to rest, to do some tapering, to come back for the other bigger competitions they are facing, because
Yes,
I know
Carla, we really have to wrap up.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up now. 3 individual events and 2 other events, a relay or a feed. And that's it. They have to try to imply that, because the children are going to get mashed up.
Okay, all right.
Buses are going to get mashed up.
Thank you so much, Carla. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys. Listen, we really have to close it off there. But we'll take some final comments on this, and especially looking forward to the character games. I believe now we have Ian George from the St. John's Christian Secondary. He won a very close 100-meter, edging it off just a little bit, just like a toenail over I think it was Sam, right? Great race. So hold on, let's just take this last call. We'll try to make it very brief, and then we get closing comments. Caller, you're live. You very brief, make your point, and
yes.
and we'll go to the commenters. Yeah, go ahead, caller.
I just want to say that if we're talking about children and adults attending a child's event, the same anxiety we have, we're talking about what Jason Skeet transpired with Jason Skeet and the young man. It is the same anxiety that we should have when referring to Ethan Sam. He's a child. Why would an adult, any adult person, think it's okay to pelt a child, regardless of the child antagonizing you or not? My children antagonize me all the time. Should I slap the shit out of them? No, that's not what we do as adults. And anybody that's making any excuse in terms of, oh, he antagonized them or he celebrates in front of them, you guys need to check your brain, because he's an adult. This is not school children pelting bottle behind another school child. This is grown adult people abusing a child. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you for your contribution. Let's close with that. Any comments to that and closing remarks?
Yeah. I could comment to that and then closing. I think it's Gabby there. Find out I recognize his voice, so I will call out. He's my good friend. Gabby doesn't understand that what I'm saying here. And you see, athletics, whether it's children, well, look, these kids are going now to character, and athletics has a governing body. There are rules. There's a code of conduct. And what I'm saying here is written in the athletics code of conduct, the World Athletics Code of Conduct. You could just go look at it. So I'm not just fly by night talking from off my head, all right? And I'm not speaking based on some emotional thing about children and who is what and what and what. We have to teach our children the proper way from now. And if it is that he goes to let's say character games and does something which is against the whole standard and the whole ethics of athletics, you think they say, no, he's a child and so on and so forth, right? That's not it. So we have to be careful, Gabby, of what we teach children now. We have to teach them the right way. And this is the right way. Nobody is saying that people were right to throw battles and so on. They were wrong. But we could do the same thing, the two things together. We can condemn the people, but also call out that the people who gave Ethan Sam the writ were wrong. Up to now, I have not condemned Ethan Sam. So truly, Gabby is way off. I said Ethan Sam didn't do it, and I said Ethan Sam is not called people. They put him. The big people who did that put him in danger. But maybe Gabby wasn't listening. I've not said anything about Ethan Sam. But we need to inculcate the right values, especially when we're dealing with a sport that is international and it has rules and it has code of ethics and code of conduct. That's it.
Right. All right.
So
go ahead.
I
Yeah,
can
go
sum
ahead.
up.
Finish up.
I can sum up in brief and say, Junior, that I agree that the Intercol was great. That's my thing, and I want to place on record my commendation for TNR group, the brand, Richie Olivier and company. I think they did a marvelous job.
Yes.
And this year it was a master stroke by the Principals Association to stream this thing free of cost, because for the last 2 years streaming was paid. You hear I think it was Hercules say people running home from New York to go and watch the thing, and I have been reliably informed that it was the most viewed event ever.
Yeah. On Ride Along Alone, our platform, there were 250,000 people that watched Ride Along Alone. And there was
I understand that it was viewed, the viewership was more than the 50th anniversary independence rally. It was much more than that. So it tells you, all right? And I want to tip my hat. And the last thing that I want to say also is because I've seen people that have spoken about the battle throwing and so on incident and the child that got hit in her eyes. Unfortunate, there has always been this battle throwing culture in Intercol that needs to be stamped out. But the two incidents were separate and apart. The throwing with it and Sam was different from students pelting bottles across the bleachers at one another and one child getting hit. That one is separate and apart. Just wanted to say, put that in there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Scholar. Callistra, your wrap up?
Well, I mean, I certainly hope those were plastic bottles they were throwing, because glass bottles should not be able to make their way into the stadium at all. And as far as I know, the beverages that ought to be sold at Intercol are not sold in glass bottles. They're all plastic bottles, juices, and so I hope that it was in glass bottles, because then that's a whole other issue that I would probably need to take up as a journalist. But let me just say to the lady who called last there, no one is suggesting, not even close, that what happened was right. I think both Scholar and myself said we must condemn the people who threw the missiles in the stadium. But these are two separate issues, as he said, two separate issues. And sometimes we like to get emotional and shoot the messenger. And we're so busy shooting the messenger that we fail to even hear the message and listen to the message. Forget about the messenger and listen to the message. All right. So that we can all look good on the international stage. The child, I saw the gentleman with the wreath. Scholar said they gave whoever I saw with it is more probably the person or some other adult who gave it to him. Obviously, roping a child into an act he should not have been roped into. Unfortunate. Ethan has some strong people in his family circle, and hopefully they would talk to him just about, and people with a strong athletics background as well, that may be able to talk to him about the conduct in sports, which I think is important, because he looks like he's going to go far. He's going to have to know that. So no one's trying to blame the child or say it is right to throw anything at him. Quite frankly, I was upset that they treated him that way. But let's see the situation for what it is. Junior, I just want to take this opportunity as the first vice president of the Media Workers Association to just say to the public that we as broadcasters and journalists, we strive for the highest possible standard in doing our work. And by no means what happened on day 2 of the Intercol is a reflection of what we strive for or of who we are. And I certainly would like to apologize to the St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School, Delron John, and his mother, Delma John, for that incident. And we will, strive to do better as a fraternity as we move along. So, thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Scholar and Callistra Faria. Great conversation, guys. We'll catch up again, okay? Thanks again.
Yes.
All right. Definitely. Yeah, guys. So we had to cut it a little bit. Well, although we overtime, but we had to cut it there because we have a hard stop at the top. Supposed to have a hard stop at the top of the hour, but we went to 24 minutes overtime. I have to say something about the broadcast. Again, I want to congratulate TNR Communication, Richie Oliver, the best that ever did it, man. This guy is very focused. His team, Nazim Benjamin, and everyone there involved in the broadcast. And we're speaking about record breaking, and we record breaking didn't only happen on the tracks. Record breaking happened in the viewership, the tremendous amount of viewers that tuned into this. As I said earlier, on Ride Along platform alone, at the end of it, there was over 250,000, quarter of a million people. And we were one of about 5 or 6 or 7 other platforms. I saw GIS had something around 90,000 views at the end of the broadcast. So tremendous viewership, right? Now, I think, and this is a proposal because I proposed this before as it relates to Spice Mass, and we're not talking about Spice Mass, but I want to propose it here to Spice Mass. Why don't we think about something similar? Why every carnival we have the same set of thing? We have a pay-per-view when we have a pay-per-view where we have 1,000 people watching, and somebody, and I'm not promoting bootlegging the pay-per-view. In fact, we always channel people to pay for the authentic broadcast. But somebody always jump up to broadcast the thing, and you have 25,000 people watching on the broadcast and then 1,000 people watching on the legitimate pay-per-view. It makes it way on social media and people watch. Why don't we find a way to take an example from what happened at Intercol Games? If we could get 25,000 people, 250,000 people to watch it on one single platform, Ride Along platform, 90,000, 25,000, 100,000 other platforms. Think about how we could capitalize on a Spice Mass event, finals, the March Gras, Soca Monarch, all of those events, live broadcast for free. Now, people might say, well, how are they going to make money? That is the biggest platform. That is the biggest viewership. That is the Super Bowl of the Super Bowl. So if we have Soca Monarch on the finals event for live broadcast for free on social media everywhere, worldwide, we're going to have 1 million plus views. Sponsors pay into that. Sponsors would be foolish not to spend big money. And we ain't only talking about local sponsors. We're talking about millions of views worldwide. We have sponsors in the UK, in the US, in every part of the world who would like to get their product or service to the eyeball of 1 million plus people. Million plus. Talking probably might go up to as far as 2 or 3 million. Now I'm listening, I'm talking, and I hope that the folks at Spice Mass take heed and listen in. This is the way to go. And something that I've been talking about for a very long time. We are majoring in minors when we're looking at, we could make, okay, a show, $45,000 from pay-per-view. But are we not looking at the big picture when we could make $450, $500, $1 million from a live broadcast that is put out for free? Even if you have to charge the platform, some of the platforms to carry the authentic live broadcast, but send out the broadcast, let the world see the damn thing. Let the world see the thing, and let the sponsors pay for the eyeballs. Hey, I think that would work, and that would be record-breaking. Yes. Let's do this, guys. Let us do this and stop short-sighting. Stop short-sighting. Having 1 million plus people, we ourselves, Carnival is now going to be seen by more people worldwide. So that's bringing in more income, more promotion for our own markets. Think about it. CNN ain't getting them type of views. MSNBC ain't getting them type of views. You're getting it from a single event from Spice Mass. Let us take an example from this Intercol Games and stop majoring in minors. Yes? Thank you. Thank me later. All right? Thank you guys for watching Ride Along Live and being a part of our broadcast here. For our loyal viewers worldwide, we thank you. On behalf of all of our production team here at Ride Along Live, I'm talking about your senior executive producer, the hardest working person on the team, Lois JJ. We appreciate you. We thank you. We love you. You know how the thing does go. To our moderators, Kibbs, Gail, everyone at Team Ride Along Live, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. And to the sponsors, Ride Along Live is the platform to bring out music, information, entertainment, talk. We light up the social media platform. In fact, if you don't see it on Ride Along Live, it's probably you're going to see it no way. We start, we end the conversation. Get your views, get your business, get your small, big, medium business in the eyeballs of Ride Along viewership and get more. It pays to advertise. It don't cost a dime. It pays to advertise on Ride Along Live.
Are you looking to take your business or event to the next level? Advertise on Ride Along Live and reach over 10 million viewers worldwide every month. With a global audience tuning in for the latest news, entertainment, and culture, your message will get the exposure it deserves. Don't miss the opportunity to showcase your brand to a diverse and engaged audience. Ride Along Live, where the world watches and your business grows. Contact us. Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Again, thank you guys for watching. Now, earlier today, we posted a flyer for the morning show, which is the award. Well, I say the award winning because it's the #1 show on any platform. The morning show with Kirk Sitter-Hall, the Wake Up Club. So earlier, Kirk, I know he posted a flyer. His guest tomorrow was supposed to be Honorable Emmeline Pierre, the leader of the opposition. Shortly after the interview was guaranteed for Kirk Sitter-Hall to conduct, there were a second call made and the interview was canceled. Right? Doesn't matter what I think about it. I think it's a missed opportunity. I think that the MP and her team is ill-advised if they don't or feel like they should not speak to anyone else outside of the immediate circle. I think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's a I want to say it nicely. I mean, I have other thoughts that go into my head how I want to say it, but I want to say it nicely. The interview was guaranteed to be done, or the interview was slated to be done tomorrow on the program. Kirk Sitter-Hall posted the flyer on the platform that he would be having this interview on the morning show. 20-30 minutes after, the team probably finally woke up and realized, oh, damn. Not going to happen. The interview was canceled. So it will not happen tomorrow. And again, I think the advice was, it was an ill-advised move. If you want to be a prime minister, you want to be a prime minister for all. And if that's your vision to be prime minister, I think that to believe that you should just speak to a certain clientele of people, that's the most ill-advised decision, I think. If you want to be prime minister, you want to be prime minister for all Grenada. And I think you should sell the message to everybody, not your own, only who you perceive is your supporters, or who you perceive that you want to spill your information to. I think the opportunity was a missed one. And it's sad that you canceled the interview. All right, that's your decision. We don't beg nobody to interview them, okay? But we have an open platform and we welcome everyone. We welcome the opposition. We welcome the government team. We welcome private parties. We welcome the red, green, yellow, blue, purple. I don't care who you stand for. We welcome you. Share your story, because here we maintain neutrality and say this very clear, that everyone has a story to tell. You too has a story to tell. Anyway, that's my time. Catch you guys again tomorrow, right along live. Good night.
Energy high, heart so bright. Tune in, feel the light. Global love taking flight. Every ride a sheer delight. Making waves across the seas. Love and joy in the breeze. Ride along live if you please. Bringing hope with such ease. Ride along, join the dance, let's sing the song. From island to island strong, with the host, we belong.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447 or visit Beacon.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up. Several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.